So my name's Bobbi Davey, and I am a PR and marketing consultant, and I've worked for a number of different companies. So what I wanted to do was just get to the next slide, tell you a little bit about why I have the ability to stand up and talk to you and say something about your business in which I, in fact, have never worked. But I have worked in the garden sector, the pet sector, and the grocery sector. And my modest claim to fame is that the large and rather bovine-looking creature on the far right-hand side of the slide is a vine weevil. And it was my joyful duty to make the vine weevil the #1 garden pest in a year when Scots were launching a Miracle-Go product that killed vine weevils. So the cutting down on the left was just saying that Vinnie Jones' Viagra and the vine weevil had been the #1 products of the year. So I also work in the pet trade for Ostra Animal Care products and Supreme Pet Foods, as well as, please don't throw anything at me now, Tesco's. So moving on, what is it that I want to try and work through with you today? And I've cut it down to basically 3 key points. The first of which is profiling audiences. The second of which is working out, once you know who your audience is, what products are going to attract them. And the final one is to look at how you can prompt purchase. And in all these things, as I said at the beginning of the presentation, this is about what in the end is going to suit you. Because if you copy what everyone else does, then you have no way of differentiating your offer from anyone else's, and then there's no reason, no easy reason for people to come to you, as opposed to maybe the shop that's nearest to them, or the shop where they do all their other purchasing. So I'd forgotten, I put a great big picture of a juicy lemon up there. I have no idea why I put a picture of a lemon up there. It's certainly juicy. It's certainly looking fairly moist. It's certainly, she says, looking at it, well, it's fairly sharp. Is anybody feeling that their saliva is beginning to roll, looking at that picture of the lemon? Because I'll tell you, as a very naughty schoolgirl, when my school's brass band used to practice in the school hall, me and my friends used to go and stand in the back of the audience and suck lemons in front of them. And what happens if you suck a lemon in front of a brass band player is they completely and utterly fail to be able to blow. And the point of that, really, to get back to the presentation, now I've remembered why it was in there, is that it shows how really small prompts can move people in quite large ways. So now, I said we'd talk about your customer. What I want to say is that in your everyday life, when you saw that very large picture of me earlier on, you immediately formed a conclusion. You subconsciously decided who I was, decided what type of person I was, and put me in a category. It's a tribal instinct. So you always judge with people, are they one of us or are they one of them? With huge apologies to my sons, who I've used as stooges for this picture. But you can see from that people are very easily categorized. And what I want to do is to talk to you today about remembering that when you get to work, when you put on your business suit, when you start looking at an organization, don't forget to keep on categorizing. It's something that we may think the experts have to do, and if anyone wants to employ me to do it, you're very welcome. But in fact, a lot of this is common sense, especially if you work it down to stages. Now, the stages that I've got up there are sociodemographic, which is in fact slightly old-fashioned now, but it is the common currency of how people look at target audiences. household types is the key way the multiples, particularly Tesco's and Waitroses, look at their audiences, and then they break that down into typical buying habits. So I just want to go through some desk research with you, because it's Glee. I've looked at the correlation between pets and garden. So basic desk research, how many households in the UK have gardens? Well, the very pessimistic predictions that the government is putting out is that by 2020, 89.5% of all households will have gardens. So let's put our pets hat on. How many of the same overall population in the UK have pets? Well, between 45, dependent on who you talk to, the PFMA or the Pet Care Trust, the estimate is between 45 and 50%. And I'm not talking horses. I'm talking cats, dogs, and small animals in this breakdown. So for the sake of today, I wanted to look at if there was a correlation between households with gardens who are more likely to own cats and dogs. And there is a direct correlation. If you have a garden, you are more likely to own a cat and dog. And the research, if anyone wants to go and look at that, was published by DEFRA in 2007. So let's move away from understanding we've got a target audience here to actually looking at what that target audience might offer you as retailers. 35% of all households fall into a higher spending category and 20% fall into a medium spending category, which means that, you put the numbers back up the chain, 5.7 million people in the UK have a garden, own a pet, and sit in the higher and medium end category of spend. So that's quite a lot of numbers, so I thought I'd put up a pretty picture. And just remind you that once we've established that we've got a pet and garden correlation, we need to then look at the spending habits of those people. They're good people to have in your store. They're destination shoppers. They're very loyal. They'll come back if they find a shop they like to visit. They'll bring their friends. So you get repeat visits. And I'm just going to pause for a moment to tell you that's one of my favourite gardens in all the world. It's Dunrobin Castle, which lies north of Inverness. If anybody ever goes that far north, do go and have a look at Dunrobin. It's very beautiful. So, can I just ask, who here, are any of you already selling pet products? Good. And the rest of you, gardening products? Right, okay, well, we're a lot of gardening experts. Right, okay. Well, stick around because you may need to answer some of the questions later on. You can talk to them, and you can talk to them, we'll be fine. So what are the benefits beyond just selling more products of selling pet sales? I'm taking it you're interested in pet sales. So we're looking at increasing traffic for the gardening and pet people. Give me a moment. Gardening people. We're looking at increasing traffic and increasing footfall through the most valuable part of your store, the internal side, where you can put high margin products. We're looking at increasing the number of purchases per visit, and we're looking at building your basket sizes. And finally, we want to make you so different, as I said earlier on, that people bother to come to your store and drive past all your competitors. So in order to think more carefully about that nice target audience who we now know, let's think about what drives them to come to you, and there again, what actually might stop them purchasing with you. Specifically, today, we're going to look at matching customer profiles of the people we want. May not be the people you actually have, but the people you might like to have, what offers attract them, and then how to make sure they stay with you. So let's look at who buys what. What I've Yesterday I went to the other pet exhibition, the one a bit further up the North Road in Harrogate. And I listened to a presentation. I want to nick the slides and bring them down to you, by the guy who sells all Mars products, pet products. And he was talking about how they profile shoppers in store. And he divided them into browsers, seeker of services, product seekers, apparently who are men who just walk in, pick up the heaviest bag of pet food and walk straight out again, the price pursuer, and then the expertise junkie. But they were talking about people who were already in your store. I want to take you back a step from there and look at the people around your store, the people in your catchment area. This is the way, it's called mosaic classification. This is the way Waitrose looks at where to open stores. They look at, and I'm going to read the list, and I know I shouldn't do it when I'm doing a presentation, but I think it's worth it. They look at, because I want you to think about where you're based. Do you have career professionals who live in sought-after locations / sought-after houses? Do you have younger families who live in newer homes? Is it a suburban area with older families in it? Are there educated transient singles, the young professionals who've begun to make money but who will move on? Blue-collar enterprise is a really important area which tends to get overlooked because there's not a feeling that they're a valuable shopper. But for their pets, they protect their spend. So they are an important shopper. Great perspectives are people who've retired and maybe in recent times have been made redundant, but with a very reasonable redundancy package, moving them straight into their retirement income. And finally, and this is the most difficult category, the rural category. Waitrose particularly quite likes who they think to be their rural customer, but they know that doesn't mean the hill farmer. So rural is, you have to know your rural customer. So once you've looked at your customer, looked at your area, seen the scope of the type of customer who could come into your store, you then start to want to think about what products might bring them into your store. And here I've gone back to the very good sort of standard grocery, good, better, best. I have a question to particularly the pet outlet people, but it may also apply to the gardening. If you just offer good products, how are you going to attract the shoppers, the 5.7 million shoppers that we identified, who are looking for better and best? Now, there are places who can only sell to the equivalent of the Lidl and Poundland target audiences, but a lot of people have more scope within their catchment than those particular shoppers. And of course, we can't all be Waitrose, and that's not what I'm arguing. And right at the beginning of this presentation, I said, please take out from this what suits you. But looking at good, better, best, it is quite important to be able to select the products that help you get that top end in. Tom, give me the clicker a moment. If you go and give the rabbit food to our various members of the audience and see if they can arrange them in good, better, best order. And while he's doing that, I'll see if I can drive my own computer. Oh, maybe. So while Tom is handing out some products, and actually Tom, we'll leave it with the rabbit food at the moment. The other thing that drives sales, and everybody knows it, is the ability to have something new in store. It's as old as the hills. If it's new and improved, people will come and at least have a look at it. The interesting thing for the independent retailer is that the multiples take an average of 24 to 32 months to introduce a new product. Now, if you look at I put the Oster animal care product range out there. A third of that range was introduced in 1 year when they launched in the UK. If you're going to try and compete with the grocers, one of the really good tactics is to look at the new products, because grocers don't turn products around that quickly. New products do not turn up in grocery, in store, very speedily. You can be a differentiating factor if you keep your eyes open and your nose on the internet, looking out for the new products. You can get a new product in your store and have it there 9 months before anyone else on a larger scale can get anywhere near it. So what else drives sales? I've looked at the Animal Welfare Act, 1996, I think it is. It says that owners must be aware of 5 welfare needs, and therefore they have to give their pets somewhere suitable to live, a proper diet, the ability to express normal behaviour, to live within their normal social groups, and to be protected from illness or injury. So that's anybody with a pet is going to buy food, is going to buy hutches, cages or kennels, is going to buy the equipment to keep those clean and healthy. So if you don't stock those, they're going to go somewhere else to look for them. I'm going to skip over emotional, because emotional is it's the treats. And the guy from Mars has a much better presentation about treats than I am. But let me tell you, treats are good. Treats make money. And there's a website by Mars about all their treats. It's got all the information you need on how to sell them. So I'm going to stay with the next thing, which is seasonal needs. And I'm going to pause a moment on seasonal needs, and we will look at them in more detail, because grocers sell a lot of product by calling them seasonal. Actually, they're not very good at seasonal products. Gardeners, very good at seasonal products, because you can't have, I don't know, Michaelmas daisies in the spring. You really understand seasonal. If you want to create prompts to purchase today, don't walk out the store thinking you'll come back next week and buy it. Buy it today. You have to make products seasonal, and you have to make them topical. So pet products can work seasonally as well. So the obvious one is Christmas, and every pet wants a present at Christmas, and you can, in the case of what we've got here, you can look at treats, paw cleaners, cat toilets for the very rich, but they're a great product. Bathing products, grooming kits, beds and bedding and accessories, they're all obvious Christmas presents. But you can move this to work throughout the year. Think about people who sell cards. If you sell a card at £2.60, you're probably making 40–50% of that back to yourself. It's not a lot of money. To make cards sell, you've got to change them at Easter, Christmas, Father's Day, Mother's Day. It's a lot of money. Yeah, I can see a face. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of effort for not a little money on each time. But they make the effort, and cards make a reasonable amount of money for the people that do it. So think of yourself as big card sellers. How often do you change what you're displaying, change the assembly of what you're selling to make it seasonal? And I'm going to do a bit of a demonstration here. So my pet experts, come up and have a look at these products for me, will you? So what I'd like you to do is, let's say summer coat control. You want to put up a little display, stick it on the front there, of products that you might bundle together and call a summer coat control kit. Now, while he's doing that, let me talk to the rest of you. Kits are brilliant. Kits are what move Mexican food from a nowhere category to one of the biggest sellers in grocery. And all it is doing is making it easier for the shopper to identify why they need to buy something now today, and ideally why they need to buy a set of products where they might just have come in to buy one. While we're still assembling our summer coat control kit, we're going to move on very quickly and just look at, now we've looked at drivers, the other thing I would ask you to do is think about what blocks, what stops people from purchasing in your shop. And the first thing you're all going to tell me is price. Remember that target audience profile. I'm going to duck. Are your concerns over price actually due to the fact that you don't want to tie up capital in stock? Oh, okay. Price is an evil thing. I have a background in the cheese industry when I'm not selling grocery products. We're going to have a look at the assembled products in a moment. And the dairy industry is addicted to price. Look what's happened to milk. You have to be really careful about price. So after price, are you stocking what the people who you've profiled will actually want? What's going to make you their type of place? What's going to make you Waitrose and John Lewis as opposed to Lidl and Poundland? Make sure you understand why they're not shopping the product that week or that month. And make sure that they know you have that new product which isn't available anywhere else. Now, we have selected a mini trimmer. Yes, because coats get wispy and hot and sweaty during the summer, so we can pull it back. If you put a big clipper in there too, that would be good. If we could sell more clippers, that would be excellent. But you're right, that's when you're going to try and sell clippers, that and in the autumn. Nice brushes, and then basically smell control kit. Get rid of the wet pet blues. Perfect. Exactly. So that isn't a huge amount of product, is it? Wouldn't take up a large amount of space in the window, and a bit of a picture and some copy saying, come in and buy your summer coat control kit. They might buy 2 or 3 things, or just 2, or just 1. But either way, you're ahead of where you might have been without that little thought process and display. So you're all expert, intelligent retailers, and you've all bought in the stock that you want to attract the clients that you know are in your region. How do you now reach them? So I'm just going to go through the sensible things. Don't cost a lot, but your time, and I know none of us have time. If you've got new products, if you are the first retailer in an area to have a product, the local newspaper will talk about it. Get online. It's good. It makes you something that people can come to and start that relationship with you as an expert, as a guidance person, as someone who will hold their hand through the problems that they have. Think about doing experiential, I hate that word. We used to call them events. Now we do experiential marketing. Charity initiatives with welfare organisations. Gets your name up where they bring in 40, 50 people a day at our local RSPCA centre. If our local pet shop works with them, there's a crossover. You're going to have to swallow your pride and see that they do sell things at ridiculous prices, but they've got an audience you want to get close to. Do a Meet the Expert day. They can come and meet the local vet, meet you, meet the bank manager if he wants to come in. They want to meet more people. Get close to the people who run your local training and agility days. This is one of the biggest trends that have been developing in the pet market over the last 5 years. Or just get into a local school. Private independent school would be good. Parents have got some money. In store, do you remember sales assistants? they used to assist sales. It is 39% of all shoppers in independent stores are looking for advice and relationships. And yet, if you've taken your store staff and put them on the till, you don't want to stop sales, but they haven't got time to engage with your clients. They are able to sell. You're able to sell. Spare the time from doing the accounts. Go and talk to your customers. And finally, on behalf of my beloved manufacturers who actually pay the bills, they put out so much point of sale. They put out so much merchandising gear. It gets stuck in the wholesalers. It's all free. Most of it can come straight to you at no extra cost, and you can use it to create your summer sales kits. Or if you can't put all the product out, put out the display and say, if you can't see what you want on the shelf, it's on the banner, I'll get it for you. The wholesalers have got them, they told me yesterday, Vital, that they'll get products out to no minimum orders, products out to people within 2 days. So you can get out to a customer in 3. So that was a fairly rapid run through a basic sort of exercise in how to profile your audience, how then to choose the products that suit them, and how then to promote those products to make sure that they sell. So to conclude, I want you to suit yourself, because you need to differentiate yourself from every other retailer in the area. You must suit your region, your locality, and your customer base. Might there be a valuable audience in that region that you're not reaching? Might better best products be a good idea alongside your good price delivered products? Might you be able to redirect some of your resources and spend your time with your customers and doing little seasonal kits? I know not every marketing initiative that I've discussed is going to be relevant, and not every time, but use the ones that suit you and use the ones that count. So I can do everything to bring the customer into the store and then put him in front of a display of products. What they choose, that final, I think it's 3.9% eyeball time, goes out to the most attractive thing to their eyeball. That's why manufacturers put a huge amount of effort in bringing the customer home to a product. So we kind of say, what's the issue? There are fleas, it's a dreadfully bad year for fleas. And the only thing you can do to sort your fleas out is buy a good Nick comb and some reasonable shampoo with Oster all over it. So hopefully they then walk in store and their hand immediately goes out to Oster. And if we've got the right message, and if we've got the right packaging, they will go to Oster at £5.40 as opposed to a cheap price-based shampoo that they don't think will help them sort out fleas. And I'm not actually claiming that shampoo helps sort out fleas, because I'd be in great trouble. Okay, thank you very much for listening.